Sing Goddess, The Wrath of the Fonz, Smoke Pit Fairy Tales Part 2, Chapter 11, The Gods of the Garden Shout at the Devil. August came. Leaves hadn't started to litter the ground, but some of the trees were now orange, red, and yellow, or, the ones that weren't blown to toothpicks anyway. It was night, and we were in our warehouse bivouac. Water leaked onto the crates on the concrete floor. Lightning from the storm offered us brief moments of light. We didn't have power, but even if we did, we didn't want to advertise our location. Fonzie and McMillian sat on 2 MRE boxes. A chessboard sat on a third between them. The pawns and kings and queens were illuminated by the red lights from their headlamps. The game seemed to dance with the storm. Both of the Marines had their headphones on and were rocking to the beat of whatever they were listening to get their minds away from Russia, however briefly. Everyone and everything else, except the flashes of lightning, were but shadows. I want to go home, I whispered to Doc over the sound of thunder and thick raindrops slamming the ceiling's cracked windows.
We all do, man.
Doc replied as we sat on a crate filled with packing peanuts and large cogged metal gears. No, man, I really want to go home. I'm tired of this shit. I don't care about this fucking war. Doc's silhouette gave me a look. I didn't have to strain my eyes to understand what he meant. I don't have any qualms with fucking slugging it out with Ivan, but they're not letting us fight this fucking war the way we need to. It's one thing to do this cat and mouse bullshit with piss ant countries or insurgents, but Russia's not fucking around and they're killing the shit out of us, and we can't fucking call in airstrikes that pack any ass. We were doing the same shit in Afghanistan, and when we left, there was no so what because fucking Afghans weren't going to come to America. If we leave, Ivan's going to come to us, but Washington won't let us do what we need to do to win. They'd rather us all die here than give the Russians a painful death.
I hear you, man.
Shit, the Russians are destroying the city more than we are. We've been here since June and haven't made much more than a beachhead. No one at home is fucking supporting the war, and there's too many casualties. They're protesting and everything. And who the fuck cares if Vladimir Putin kidnapped the First Lady? Why do we have to deal with this? Why can't we just send in a SEAL team or, some CIA dudes?
Yeah, but we kicked Russia out of the Baltic states.
Yeah, because the fucking host nations and the Germans aren't afraid of leveling shit. This fucking city should have been rubble before we left Latvia.
Yeah. We should just cut our losses and leave this place to rot.
And fuck politics. We need to do what's right.
That's not how shit works.
I pulled out a cigarette. The people with too much of their time spent sticking their noses in other people's business always said these things would kill me. Maybe this will be the one. Usually we weren't allowed to smoke inside, but since Fonz was the acting platoon commander and this was his area, he let us do pretty much whatever we wanted. Just so long as our weapon was never more than arm's length away. I watched the chess game for a moment and looked up to light my cigarette. I saw a shadow pass over the ceiling windows over a lightning crack. Doc, is someone supposed to be up there?
The sentries and some snipers should be.
Okay. I took a deep drag. I think I might drag myself through a minefield. I'll miss another year, but fuck it, I'll be in Balboa and have Penelope with me when I wake up.
I don't think that's a good idea, man.
Why not? It'll be quick and painless. Sure, I'll have to start back at the gym from zero, but it's not like I've been working out since I got here. Besides, I'm pretty confident we're both immortal. We shouldn't have eaten those fucking berries in Iraq. We'd have been happy and dead a long time ago.
Yeah, but you can't just leave everyone. We're already undermanned as fuck. Shit, the fucking platoon only has 20 fucking Marines in it.
Yeah, well, maybe I should start doing more heroic shit, like running through the fire and grabbing people and standing in the street while I gun down Ivan.
You've already been doing that, Hank. We all have. They haven't awarded anyone anything, but we've all done medal-worthy shit here. Everyone here is thinking the same thing you are, except I don't think anyone else is thinking about stepping on a landmine.
No one else is in the position we are, though.
True, but if you left, you'd hate yourself for the rest of your fucking life.
I know. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. McMillian took a bishop, and Fonzie stared down the board. Doc?
Yeah, dude?
Are we aging?
I don't know. I think so. If not, we're in for a shitload of pain in the future.
Well, if we're still alive by the time technology in our wallets allow it, we should shoot ourselves into the sun.
You think that would work? What if we just hung out at a nuclear weapons test site?
Yeah, that could work. I elbowed Doc. I looked up to watch the streams of rain collect and run away with the lightning and the wind. The windows shattered into a million little diamonds and fell into the room with the rain. For an instant, I thought lightning had struck the roof. Then I saw ropes fall into the room and dark figures fall from the new broken windows. Doc and I grabbed their AKs and started firing at the ceiling.
Contact!
The Marines grabbed their weapons and fired at the intruders, except Fonz and McMillian, who were in the heat of their game and were oblivious to the assault. A rope was dangling a foot away from me. I opened fire on whatever was descending. The body fell down the rope and slammed down, knocking me from the crates to the hard concrete floor. I grunted, rolled over, and put a few more bullets into the body just to be sure. The area between the crates was lit brilliantly from the combination of muzzle flashes and the battle Thor and Zeus were having on the clouds. Light bounced off the thick rain, then fell into the warehouse and columns under the broken windows. Fonzie and McMillian were dry and engulfed in their own war on the board. In the darkness, it was hard to see who our friends were. I shot anyone with a flak and Kevlar. The Marines wouldn't take time to put them on with Ivan in their bedroom. I had my AK on single fire, trying to be careful not to shoot Marines.
Hank! Get back here!
Eclair called from behind a crate. I jumped over the splintering wood and landed next to Steven's dock and Eclair. The machinery parts inside the crate halted most of Ivan's lead. The four of us took turns popping up and letting out a few rounds.
Let's go! We gotta circle around!
Stevens led us as we moved in a counterclockwise course around the stacks of boxes and chests. 5 fingers held his rifle ready to fire. The other 5 ran down the wall to keep straight. The muzzle rested on the back of his wrist. We were blind. Eclair walked backwards behind us, making sure we weren't gunned down from the rear. Pop, pop, pop. Stevens let out a burst. A dark-clad figure fell to the floor. Pop. Doc put another round in the shape's face as he stepped over it. We turned the corner of the crates and looked into the opening of the main area. Flashes lit across the room, but they were all the same. Almost all of the Marines were using Russian weapons.
How the fuck are they not shot yet?
Fuck it! Keep moving!
We kept creeping around the crates until Stevens stopped. He poked his head around the corner, then told us,
There's like 20 dudes there!
Us or them?
I don't know!
"Do they have Kevlars on?
What difference does that make?
Do you think there's even one Marine out there that took the time to grab their shit? Plus, there's barely 20 Marines left in the platoon. 4 of us are here, and 2 of them are fucking playing chess." Stevens' shadow shrugged and peeked back around the corner, then rolled back to us.
It's definitely Ivan. You guys got ammo?
We checked our magazines and gave him a thumbs up.
Okay, they don't know we're right here. If we all start spraying them at the same time, I think we can get them.
Stevens pointed at Doc.
You shoot him from the crate, I'll hit the wall.
Stevens looked at Eclair and me.
You two in the middle. We'll go in like we're clearing a hall.
Stevens put himself at the edge of the corner of the crate. Then it was Eclair, me, and Doc. We passed the kick from Doc to Stevens, letting him know we were ready, and Stevens jumped to the wall, muzzle first towards the enemy. No longer than half a second later, Doc was hooked around the crate, and Eclair and I were between them, unloading our AKs on full auto into the Russian troops. 120 rounds later, the room was silent again, but for the rain. When the last empty shell made its ting on the floor, we reached for new magazines. Mine were in my cargo pocket. We crept up the line of Russians bleeding on the deck. If they were still gasping for air, we put a short burst in their face. If they didn't seem to still be among the living, we poked them in the eye with our muzzle to see if they flinched. If they did, their helmets became a bowl for brain matter soup, served at a perfect 98 degrees. "Hey, who's still over there?" Becker shouted from the other side of the room.
Stevens, Eclair, Doc Evans, Allensworth. It's clear on this side.
Stevens replied. "This side's clear too!" We stepped an uneasy creep back between the crates. After a few seconds of nothing, I stomped over to the 2 chess players and kicked the board, sending the little wooden players across the floor.
The fuck, dude?
Fonzie protested, pulling out his headphones. "Good game?" Fonzie and McMillian looked at the Marines around them, all bearing their weapons, some bleeding.
The fuck?
McMillian asked, confused.
Ivan made a house call.
Stevens pointed to the holes where the windows used to be.
How the fuck did we miss that?
I thought that was a storm, dude.
The thunder and the lightning ain't that bad.
Well, fuck. I take it we won?
Fonzie looked around the darkness of the room. He grabbed the AK that was resting on his boot.
Anyone get hurt?
The Marines all looked at each other for someone missing. There were a few cuts and grazes, but no one was seriously injured.
Duck, patch these guys up. Stevens, take your Marines to check on the other platoons. McMillian squad and I are gonna go check on Firewatch.
Eclair bounced with Stevens, and I went with Fonzie. We climbed the rusted steel ladder well up the wall to the roof. The 2 Marines overlooking the complex laid over their sandbag citadel with their throats slit. The rain washed their blood down the building. Fonzie shook his head.
Motherfuckers.
We pulled the fallen Marines off the roof and posted 2 more to the watch. When we got back downstairs, we started looting the Russian soldiers. They were all wearing black and had no identifying information. No insignia, no dog tags, no wallets, cigarettes, or anything.
I gotta go talk to the CEO.
Fonzie told Stevens as he and his squad returned. I reached for a cigarette. My pack was empty. I went to find my Alice pack. God damn it! My pack and sleeping system were fucking soaked. I unrolled my sleeping bag and threw it over a crate, hoping it would dry out. I grabbed a pack of cigarettes, stowed away in a waterproof bag, and walked back to Doc, Stevens, and Eclair. I opened the pack and offered the 3 smokes. They all took one.
3rd platoon got hit pretty bad.
Stevens lit up.
How bad's bad?
Half. Doc, you better go help them out.
Wordlessly, Doc disappeared into the darkness toward 3rd platoon's hooch. Who the fuck were these dudes?
Who knows? Probably Spetsnaz. Or some other Gru dicks?
There weren't a lot of them, whoever they were.
Eclair looked around the darkness.
Why didn't they use grenades?
Yeah, not even flashbangs.
I don't know. Did they have any of them?
Not that I saw, but Ivan's getting ballsy. Fonzie came back into the room.
Hey everyone, listen up.
The squad and a half-size platoon circled around the Fonz.
Before we hit the sack tonight, there's a few things that are gonna happen. First off, all these Russian fucks, their bodies are gonna be soaked in fuel, thrown in the street, and set on fire.
CO's cool with that.
Captain Sancho's on fire watch at the pearly gates.
Mutters of fucking damn came from the crowd.
Lieutenant Toshi wants these guys' heads on pikes and posted around the roof.
Shit's that fucking bad?
Yeah, Ivan hit us pretty hard. Half a third platoon's gone, so are some of the S2 Marines that were here. Ivan ran off with a bunch of secret hard drives.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah, Fox Company is almost combat ineffective. We're still waiting on word, but plan to leave here at 04 to link up with Gulf.
We pulled apart the crates to use as pikes. We sawed off the Russians' heads and posted them in a perimeter around the warehouse complex. The bodies were soaked in fuel and burnt in the streets, in full view of any Russians who may have been watching. I left the contents of my pack out to dry. I was soaked. It wasn't cold out, but being wet in the warmth isn't much better than being wet in the cold when you're trying to sleep. I tried to sleep through the sweat and shivers. I had no nightmares, no dreams. We woke up a few hours later to move out. The little sleep I got wasn't restful. I was still wet, and it was still raining. I stuffed my gear into my Alice pack. Man, this shit is soaked, I muttered to no one in particular.
Yeah, but there's no morning prayer.
Eclair said, putting on his flak jacket. Oh, how thoughtful of Ivan.
You gonna shave?
Nah, I'm skipping that shit. The company mustered in the rain between the buildings. Doc was still sitting with the casualties by the trucks. I shook my head. That guy's one caring son of a bitch.
Dude, that's his job.
No, he only had to patch those dudes up. He sat with them because he fucking cares about them. We probably should have been there too. Eclair let out something somewhere between a sigh and a yawn.
It doesn't matter, man. We're all going to die out here. It's just a matter of time.
First Sergeant De Leon and Lieutenant Toshi formed us into a column, and we marched out into the city towards Gulf Company's location. Ivan's dead eyes watched us move past their charred skeletons in the street. Their still burning flames cast their shadow on the bullet-peppered walls. When we left the industrial area and started into the town gardens, our Daedalus escort morphed into its human-looking form and walked beside us. I doubt anyone wasn't on edge. McMillian hummed a tune to the rooster to keep himself cool. Doc did the same with Shout at the Devil. The garden we were in gave me a terrifying feeling. The walkways were lined with marble statues of Grecian gods. From under the trees, they stared us down in the darkness. Dawn wouldn't be for another hour or two. The maidens holding a cloth over their stone bodies seemed as if they were running in fear. They were probably quite a sight in the sun, lifelessly lightening the mood of the park, watching families picnic in the shade, lending their smiles to traveling observers. But now their carved, curved bodies, that no doubt the sculptor lusted after as he fashioned them perfectly with a chisel, scowled at us with hate-filled eyes. Svetlana welcomed us no more than Ivan. There was a screeching roar in the air. The Daedalus's leg exploded, throwing shrapnel in all directions. The Marines that weren't thrown to the ground from the blast volunteered to meet it. I looked back at the collapsing mech. Doc was still falling to the ground. He hit the dirt 10 meters away from where he was standing with a thud. Enemy machine guns kept us pinned to the deck. Most Marines fired back. I said to hell with it and ran after Doc. Before I could get to him, he started crawling towards the statue of Zeus, brandishing a lightning bolt. A few feet away from the safety of cover, I grabbed the back of Doc's flak and started dragging him as he crawled. We slammed him to the base of the statue.
I'm good, dude. It just knocked the wind out of me.
I peered beyond the edge of the statue. I saw Ivan shooting from the hedgerow. I aimed in and squeezed off a few rounds. Come on, dude, we gotta get back to the platoon.
Give me a minute.
Doc held his eyes wide open. Bullets zipped over our head and shot fragments of Zeus's body into us.
Fuck!
What? I looked back down at him.
Fucking shit's in my fucking eyes!
Quit being a pussy, Doc.
Fuck you!
Doc, I can hear Marines screaming over there. Doc tried to blink the rocks out of his eyes. Be strong, man. Doc got himself up to a knee. Stevens!
No!
We're coming to you!
Got it!
Stevens' Marines let out as much fire as they could. Doc and I were lightning from Zeus to Stevens and slid into the trail. Doc crawled over a Marine bleeding in the path.
Fuck!
McMillian screamed. I snapped my head back towards his voice. He was firing in a rage.
Enemy armor in the open.
I looked back to the hedgerow. There was a gap in it. The tank that was now heading towards us left. The Daedalus came back to life. Its legs were missing, but balanced itself and pointed its weapon towards Ivan and turned the hedgerows into shredded lettuce and ketchup. The mech crawled to the front of our file, then laid back on the other side between the Marines and Ivan. The Daedalus emptied its ammunition in the direction the Russians were. One round punctured the tank. It stopped dead in its tracks but didn't burn. The enemy guns silenced. and someone yelled,
"Cease fire!"
The Daedalus pilot jumped out of the hatch and jumped out, pistol in hand. Lieutenant Toshi grabbed the pilot and pulled him down. Stevens' squad jumped behind the wrecked mech for cover. When Doc was done bandaging the wounded Marines and loading them into a truck, we took cover with the squad.
"I'll have to charge in the cockpit,"
the Daedalus pilot told Toshi.
"When's it gonna blow?"
5 minutes.
"Sergeant Palacios."
Yes, sir.
Fonzie scurried over to the lieutenant.
"This mech's gonna explode in about 4 minutes. Take that squad and go make sure there ain't nothing left of that tank crew besides ground beef."
Aye, sir.
Fonzie ran over to us.
Y'all hear that?
Yeah.
He gave the squad the hand and arm signals to follow him and hopped over to the Daedalus' scraps. The squad, if you'd still call it that, crept behind Stevens and Fonzie. There was a thin, translucent stream of smoke rising from the hole the Daedalus left in the tank's hull. Stevens and Marcksy climbed the sides of the tank. The rest of us found what cover we could and waited for Ivan to return. Stevens pointed his rifle at the hatch and Marcksy started laying a charge that would open it. Stevens and Marcksy slid off the tank.
"Everyone hold on,"
Marcksy said, holding the detonator.
"Shit!"
I looked over at Marcksy. He was gawking at the sky. I looked to see what he was worried about. I expected to see a night falling on us, but it was worse. Straight in our line of sight, an A-10 was bearing down on the tank.
Get the fuck out of here!
We got up to run. The A-10's front burst into fire. The tank popped like a tin can full of confetti and dynamite. Marcksy and Stevens were vaporized. The rest of the squad was thrown from the explosion in every which direction. I didn't land as much as I slammed into a tree. Gunfire erupted over my head. The curtain in the theater behind my eyes closed. I woke up cold and wet. I couldn't see anything. How long was I out? Where are the lights? My whole body ached. I went to rub my chest, but my hand was stuck. What the? I moved my head back around. There was something over it. I jerked my hands, and they were tied together. Oh, fuck!
All right, well, that was a chapter, right? Thanks for tuning in. What was that, chapter 11? Yeah. All right, so thanks to Chuck LaVoki for Doc and Cat R for playing Eclair. And Travis Weidemann as the Fonz and Luke Lamana as Lieutenant Toshi. And Luke Lamana is the guy from Wartime Stories, so if you're here from there, thanks, tell him I said hi. And then Clayton Sims is on this too as McMillian, and he runs the CivDiv page. Go check him out. He's got some good stuff. It's all Veterans Affairs related content. You know, back alley cheat sheet shit. Go check him out. Okay. Dylan Dzielski is Stevens, and then Jon Q Haskell is Marcksy. Shout out to the 3rd Canadian Ranger Patrol Group. So, I don't have any syrup to drink, or else I'd make the joke. Or Molson. Is Bass your guys's? You know, the one with the red triangle? I don't know. I'm kind of on Canadian beer. But I do like your whiskey, so, you know. Trade-off? Whoever's working your guys' distillery in the Great White North, keep that shit up. All right, anyway, did I thank my Patreon people yet? Patreon people and people who have bought war chests, which is like the box set of these. Or the first 6 anyway. I don't know if I did. But if I didn't, well thank you. I appreciate it. It helps me keep going. And also, people who stay engaged in the comments, thank you. Also, Rex, you're back. That's cool. Fucking, you sent me that comment last night. I know it's, what is today? Today is December 8th. That's how far in the future I am. Also, where the hell is Doc Whiskey and fucking Whitney? Although I guess Doc Whiskey keeps up on Instagram. But hey, you know, whatever, right? Anyway, thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you don't want to wait for me to read all of these to you, you can just go, you know, read the book yourself, or, you know, Patreon gets them as I get done with them as to where, you know, they're scheduled over here. All right, well, I am gonna go start cooking a duck. I'll let you know how that goes. Also, I didn't look at the schedule to see when this is coming out. If it's still December, Merry Christmas. If it's not, then Merry whatever holidays in fucking January. This is a January episode, right? There's snow on the ground? Whatever. All right, I'll see you around. Semper, semper. Here are your bloopers. Ciao.
Chapter 11.
Oh, we gotta.
Hey, no. Becker talked like this.
Am I getting that right at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
We pulled the fallen Marines off the roof and...
Is that Palacios? I'll do it both ways, whatever.
The 2 Marines overlooking the complex laid over their saddlebag. It's not a fucking saddlebag, Trip. Quit saying saddlebag. The word saddlebag is not in this fucking book.
Yeah, but you can't just leave everyone. We're already undermanned as fuck. I mean, shit. The fucking platoon only has fucking Marines in it. The Marine platoon only, and 1 corpsman.